Time and tide wait for none. I hope you are all accustomed to this famous English proverb. But you may be wondering why I started today's video with this particular proverb. Because today I am going to tell you about time. Hey, I'm Kaushik and you are watching Kaushik's Everyday English. Today's lesson will be very interesting for you because today you will learn some smart English phrases to talk about time, to talk about different situations at different points of time. So, what are we waiting for? Let's get started. The first phrase in today's list is preserved for posterity. Now, what does the word preserve mean? Preserve means either to save or keep. And what's posterity? Posterity is the future generation of all people. So the phrase here means to save for the future generation. For example, you could say, our natural resources are overused, but they need to be preserved for posterity. It means that we are overusing our natural resources, and a time will come when the resources will get exhausted. But before they get exhausted, it's our duty to save them for our future generation. So, in order to save for our future generation, we can use this smart English phrase, preserved for posterity. With this, we can move on to the next phrase, go down in history. Now, what does go down in history means? It means to be remembered in the future from the past. There are many renowned personalities who are no more with us, but we remember them even now because of their noble deeds, noble actions. They are still remembered in the future. So that means go down in history. For example, you could say the deceased principal of the school goes down in history as one of the most talented person. That means the principal of the school, maybe your school, was very talented and he or she passed away, yet the person is still remembered by everyone for his or her talent, for his or her efficiency. So that means go down in history. Look at this interesting phrase, dim and distant memory. Now, what does dim and distant memory mean? It means to remember something slightly but not very clear. To remember something slightly but not very clear. Now, there are some things which we remember not distinctly, not clearly. Right, we remember only a part of a thing and the other part gets erased from our memory. So that is dim and distant memory. For example, you could say the times of huge profits are now dim and distant memory. The times of huge profits are now dim and distant memory. That means those times have almost been forgotten. You even don't remember it very clearly. It is not a very distinct memory of yours. So you remember it slightly but not very clear. So in this way, you can use this phrase, dim and distant memory. Let's move on to the next phrase of today's list, a flash in the pan. Now, what does a flash in the pan means? It means someone or something that gains popularity for a short period of time. You may have seen some actors or actresses who have become very popular after their debut movie or debut film, but their other ventures or their other movies fail to create a lasting impression on the audience, and therefore the audience start losing their interests in these actors and actresses. So with the passage of time they fade into oblivion, so their popularity has been very short lived. And in order to mend this, you can use this smart phrase, a flash in the pan. For example, you could say he directed one movie, but his career was pretty much a flash in the pan. That means he directed one movie and he gained popularity as a director, but this popularity was not long lasting, it lasted only for a short period of time. Here's the next phrase of today's list: at the 11th hour. Now observe how I am pronouncing THE. I pronounce it as the. Now some people pronounce it as the and some people pronounce it as the. Now both are correct pronunciations, but their applications are different, and you should know this. Let me tell you about the and the. Now when you use THE with a word that starts with a vowel, you pronounce it as the, as in this case, at the 11th hour. The word 11th starts with a vowel E, and therefore THE placed before it is pronounced as the, at the 11th hour. Now coming back to the phrase, what does at the 11th hour mean? It means at the last moment. Now observe the pronunciation. Last is a word that starts with a consonant L. So when THE is added with a word that starts with a consonant, we pronounce it as the, at the last moment. So once again, coming back to the phrase and its meaning, at the 11th hour means at the last moment. For example, he could say, we were about to set out, but one of my friends backed out at the 11th hour. That means you planned to go somewhere and you were about to set out, but at the last moment, one of your friends came and told you that he was not going with you. So at the last moment means at the 11th hour. The next phrase in today's list is at the drop of a hat. Now what does this phrase mean? It means immediately, without any delay, right? So you could use this phrase in a sentence like this: he was rushed to the hospital at the drop of a hat. That means a person might have fallen very sick, his condition is very serious, and he has to be taken to the hospital, so he's rushed to the hospital immediately without any delay. So in this way, you could use the phrase at the drop of a hat. With this, let's move on to the next phrase of today's list: around the clock. Now what does around the clock means? It means something which happens all over the day. Something which happens all over the day. For example, you could say, I am keeping track of my uncle's arrival around the clock. Your uncle may have been coming from America and you are impatiently waiting for your uncle's arrival all through the day. So in that sense, you can use this phrase around the clock. Let's move on to the next phrase. on end. Now, with this phrase on end, you can use years on end, months on end, days on end, weeks on end, hours on end. So, what does this mean? It means when something happens for hours, days, weeks, months, right? Like this. So, it happens continuously and without stopping for the amount of time that's mentioned. For example, you could say, he is a wonderful companion and we can talk for hours on end. That means we can talk for a long time, for an unlimited time or for unlimited hours. So in this way, you can use the phrase on end. So friends, my beautiful YouTube family members, this is for today. And I hope you have enjoyed today's video because definitely you have learned some smart phrases which you can use in your daily conversation to talk about time. So it's time to leave. But before I leave, I would like to remind you once more to subscribe to my channel. If you like my sessions, give a thumbs up, click the all notification button so that whenever I upload my video, you get the notification first. So tomorrow I'll be back again with a new lesson to learn. Till then, stay safe, love your family, love your parents, and love yourself. Bye.